A lot of people keep telling me, they say, Sam, I know you've ordered a Tesla Cybertruck. I know that's the electric pickup truck you want, but I want something a bit smaller. I want a Cybertruck toned down. It's too big for me. I understand where they're coming from. The Cybertruck is actually quite a big vehicle. It's even bigger than a Ford F-150 pickup truck. And frankly, a lot of people would feel uncomfortable driving a vehicle that size. I get that. It makes sense. But you know what? This pickup truck might actually be even better than the Cybertruck. Why? It's the most practically shaped pickup truck in history. Seriously, it is. I'm telling you now, this is potentially better than a Cybertruck. But it's quite a bit smaller. How have they managed to make such a small vehicle so incredibly practical? By making it look a bit weird. True story. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Many of you know that several years ago, in fact, on the launch, the very day, within about 20 minutes of Elon Musk unveiling the Cybertruck, I went and pre-ordered it. I loved it. I fell in love with it. Many people think it's mental. They hate it. They think it looks like, I don't know, something ridiculous. And I personally absolutely love it. I also love this. Firstly, when I first saw this vehicle, I was polarized. I was like, yeah, I'm not talking about the Cybertruck here. I'm talking about this car I'm about to show you. I thought, nah, that's just, nah. It looks like a van. It looks like a people mover. Nah. You know what? It's grown on me. I've decided this thing is actually maybe the best pickup truck ever made. Why do I say that? Because honestly, if the industry changes, if this vehicle changes the industry, which it very well could, once the industry realizes that yes, vehicles shaped like this make perfect sense, perfect, absolutely genius sense, once the industry realizes, and they very well might, it's going to help all of us. All of us will be driving around smaller cars with bigger space, much bigger. Why does an electric car need a bonnet? Why does it need the front section, right? Like an internal combustion engine, there's a big engine there, right? The reason we have those is because there's nowhere else to put the engine. You can put it in the back of the vehicle, but you know what happens with cars like that? What happens to the Volkswagen Combi that I had when I was a kid? Ask my parents about it. The thing broke down all the time. Now, having an engine underneath at the back of your car where it doesn't get much airflow never really works out. So we invented cars with big bonnets where the big engine could go, but EVs, frankly, do not need those, especially with the advent of these new, smaller electric motors that Mercedes and other car companies are pioneering. Those small electric motors mean you do not need all this massive space at the front of a vehicle, and vehicles with a huge amount of space at the front are simply wasting that space, driving around something that doesn't need to be there. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about Mercedes' new small motors. Now, Mercedes didn't make them, another company did, and other companies are making these motors as well for other brands. They could change the industry. Mercedes thinks that they will. Make sure you check out that video. Now, Canoe is a California-based startup that plans to deliver the lifestyle electric pickup truck that they have shown to the market a couple of years ago, I think it was, in 2023, along with commercial vans, which shall commence deliveries of their first 4,500 EVs to Walmart within the next 6 months, they say. Frankly, when I first saw this thing, I thought that thing just looks like a van. And then I went, you know what? This thing is brilliant. Function, right? Function. Form should follow function. That's what architects say. Why don't we say that about cars? Why should form not follow function? Have you ever seen a house that just has a completely unnecessary big part on the front of it that you never use? No, you haven't. They don't really exist. And if you do see a house like that, you think, what? That just doesn't make sense. I mean, imagine walking around, right, with a massive backpack on the front of you that's empty. There's nothing in there. Just carrying it around for no reason. That's basically what a lot of electric cars are doing now. So this, in my view, is good for the industry. Now, perfect example. Go have a look at the Mazda 3. Mazda 3 hatchback. The thing is, the front of that car is longer than the rest of the car. It's mental. It doesn't make any sense. Canoo's electric pickup truck does make sense. Perfect sense. And I hope that the industry changes the shape of pickup trucks, because this is essentially the answer to what? To having more space with less car. It's perfect. And it's all you really need. While there are many big pickup trucks that have established a huge market industry that people love, well, in my opinion, the interior space of those vehicles is pretty much the same as this. Pretty close. And more compact electric trucks like this will do what? Not only save you from driving around a big thing you don't need, but also going to save you money. Heaps of money. The bigger and heavier a vehicle is, the more it costs you to run, the more it costs you to charge it, the more it costs you to replace the brakes, the more it costs you to replace the suspension, the more it costs for everything. Cost goes up in so many ways the bigger a vehicle gets. Now, if you could have the same size interior, but the vehicle could be much smaller and much lighter, and therefore have a much smaller battery pack, wouldn't you do so? I think most people would. Now, relatively compact electric trucks like this are far more practical in terms of everyday use, like in parking lots and at charging stations, where obviously they'd use a lot less battery and therefore be at the station for less time, costing less to you, and also meaning you can free up that charger for someone else who needs it. Not only are they a cost advantage, but it's also time. Who wants to spend time sitting around waiting for E or E2V to charge its enormous battery when you can simply have a much smaller battery and get the same range? Canoo is a whole 4 foot shorter than the Ford F-150 Lightning. Established in 2017 by credible founders who had prior experience of working at BMW and Faraday Future, Canoo seems to know what it's doing. I kind of agree with that idea that people have been saying, that Canoo is the real deal. I mean, this thing, to me, is really well thought out. It's 4 foot shorter than a Ford F-150, but actually, when you start to look at the interior specifications, the space is not much different. So what actually is the size? Well, the dimensions are 4.7 meters long. Well, it's 4,677 millimeters long. That's 284 inches. The width is 78 inches, 1,980 millimeters, and the height is 76 inches, 1,920 millimeters. Wheelbase, 2.85 meters or 112.2 inches. Now here is where things get really, really interesting. The bed width is 64 inches, 1,627 millimeters, but the bed length, importantly, is longer than a lot. In fact, it's much longer than vehicles like the Ford Ranger, which is a significantly longer car overall. Bed length, 1,817 millimeters, meaning it's about 30 centimeters longer, which is huge, than pretty much every pickup for sale here in Australia. Now that length is 72 inches and the bed depth is 21 inches or 522 millimeters. So the bed length in the Ford F-150 Lightning is 66 inches long, right? The bed length in this Canoo truck is 72 inches. It's 6 inches longer. That's a huge difference. That's massive in comparison to the Ford F-150 pickup. But the really interesting thing is the Ford Lightning is more than a meter longer than this Canoo electric pickup truck. In fact, it's 1.2 meters longer at 5.9 meters long. And yet its pickup tray is much, much shorter. What does this all mean? This means the Canoo only needs an 80 kilowatt hour battery to get a similar range while potentially carrying a much larger payload than an F-150. This could even be the same as what we would expect from the Cybertruck. Now the Canoo comes with two options. It has a single rear-wheel drive motor or a dual motor all-wheel drive. It's got the 80 kilowatt hour battery pack. Of course, it's much smaller and much lighter than a Cybertruck and an F-150 Lightning. And it has max torque of 746 Newton meters and a payload capacity of 816 kilos, which is pretty similar to other electric pickup trucks. Range is yet to be exactly specified, but Canoo says it'll be around 240 miles of range. However, all this about bed length, and actually the Canoo's bed length is much, much longer than it sounds, because It comes equipped with one very interesting function, which in my opinion changes the game for pickup trucks. Seriously, for pickup trucks, bed length is to me the number one most important consideration. Well, the fact that it's electric, number one. Number two is bed length, right? And price, of course, that matters as well. Now, obviously getting a smaller battery pack, well, that's going to cost you less money. Plus, a smaller vehicle, it's going to cost you less money. But then, turns out this tray can extend up to 8 foot long. The canoe comes with a 6 foot long pull-out bed extension, up to 8 foot, it says, with a secondary lamp, a fold-down workable plus cargo storage with electrical outlets, flip-down side tables that could become another workbench with power sources nearby. It also comes with a side step that could double up as storage for first aid kits, coolers for snacks and drinks, a modular cargo bed with space dividers to package things more efficiently, tow hitch receiver, roof rack, LED lighting, camper shell to attach tents, and many more features, which apparently will come as standard. But to me, the real game changer here is this reality. This vehicle is shorter than 4.7 meters long, but you can potentially drive it with an 8 foot long bed. There is no other vehicle that's ever been invented in the history of vehicles, right, that had this kind of practicality in this small a size. Add to that fact, this thing is electric and it actually looks pretty good. I've got to say that if you're considering a smaller Cybertruck, this, in my opinion, is the answer you've been looking for. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.